What's going on, everybody? Welcome and thank you for joining us for anything and everything rock and roll. Of course, with a little bit of ADD. Anyway, I'm Zach.
I'm TJ.
And I'm Robin.
And you're listening to Rock Detention.
I don't feel tardy.
Gentlemen, how are we?
Always good.
I don't know
Hey,
what
boys.
I don't know what the heck this thing was, but I was like, I'm Robin, and I'm like, what am I holding? Something? Like, what am I doing?
What you got in that right hand?
I don't know. Well, right now it's hot chocolate.
We almost got through that one, all the way through with no mistakes.
I thought it went great. Yeah. I was really impressed.
And then Robin had to call himself out.
Yeah, I was like, what am I doing? Anyway.
See, I would have never said anything had you not been milking the air.
People have.
That's a Hufflepuff for you.
Oh God.
Pugglemuff.
People have been telling me that forever. It's like, don't draw attention to the things you do. No one will notice. I keep doing it.
It's all good. It's part of what makes you you, and I think it's amazing. I have a joke. You want to hear a joke? Because you just reminded me. Okay, what am I doing? Or wait, 1 second. I don't want to mess this up.
I think it's already.
Wait a minute. My Uncle Steven told me this joke. All right, what am I doing?
Milking a cow.
Yes. Okay.
This is utterly ridiculous. Keep going.
Okay, so what am I doing now?
I don't know. Milking a bunch of cows in a row?
It has something to do with that.
7 maids of milking. 8
close.
Maids of milking.
Ready? Here's the answer. It's pasteurized milk. Get it? Pasteurized?
Oh my God.
Okay, back to the drawing boards on that one. Uncle Steven, they don't like your joke.
And with that, we lost all our followers.
Wow, we went down to 2 people watching.
Listen, pirate jokes and dad jokes is all I've got.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yep. How's everyone's week going? What have y'all been up to?
TJ, I interrupted you earlier, so you...
No, that's fine. Just keep doing it. That's fine.
We'll get to you in a second, but...
World Series is on. It's all good.
Sweet. Who's winning?
The Rays by 1, as of this sentence.
That's great, man. Congrats. That's your team, right?
That's my team.
Cool. And Robin, I actually saw Robin today.
Yeah, we listened to my new single.
It's rocking, man.
It's almost there. It's almost done, but few tweaks and we'll be good. But yeah.
Thanks for sharing with me. Before we go any further, boys, I got some bad news.
What?
Remember my streak of everyone following and liking me? It was dead even. Someone follows me. Someone follows me and doesn't like me.
Wow.
So they follow me, but they don't like me.
Dicks.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
I think it's time that you take the page down. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just give up. It's over. It was a good run while it lasted.
Absolutely. Guys, I've got to tell you, I have been looking forward to tonight since last Wednesday. I had a blast. We had our first guest last Tuesday. And tonight we have our second guest, a dear friend of mine, Mr. Ryan Hayes. He's going to be joining us. And I'm really excited. And Robin, why don't you tell everybody why I'm so excited? And also TJ, I think TJ's excited for the same reasons.
So apparently it's going to be a debate battle royale between myself and Ryan.
Battle of 2020.
First fight on the podcast.
Oh boy. Yeah, we're taking a little bit of a. I mean, last week was a serious topic. But yeah, this one's another kind of more serious topic. We're talking about streaming services and record labels, the pros and cons, and what that's all about, and how that affects us as musicians. And I'm on the side of I don't like streaming services, and I do like record companies. And Ryan loves streaming services and has had bad experiences with record companies. So we're gonna see if he can't change my mind, or maybe I can't change his, or I don't know. We're gonna have a really good discussion about it. That's what we're gonna do tonight.
I'm really looking forward to it. I gotta say, I'm a little bummed. So I got a little crafty today, and you can't see it, but I made an RD logo.
I can see it.
I like it.
Well, It's reversed. It's backwards. I didn't realize that was going to happen on the camera. So that kind of bums me out.
What are you talking about? It's not reversed. It says
good
RD.
for us.
Yeah.
It's probably reversed for you.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all can see it in.
Yeah.
Skype flips the camera.
You're just missing some like black light paint.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes me a lot happier. And then also, I have to give a shout out to Schecter. That is a Schecter that I don't think the world has ever seen. That's kind of been hiding. So it's one of my Schecters right there in pink by Mr. Jason Overly. He painted it out of Vegas. He does all of Five Finger Death Punch's guitars and John 5 and anyone who has a cool paint job on the guitar, he probably did it.
Didn't the guitar player of Five Finger Death Punch just leave the band?
Yes, I just heard about that.
Yeah.
I think it was about a month or two ago. That blindsided me. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I don't even know why he left. I just know that he left. So, but yeah. So, do we want to just get Ryan in here already?
Yeah.
And
that was a perfect time to go. Without further ado,
ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my dear friend from Righteous Vendetta, Mr. Ryan Hayes.
Oh, hey guys.
what's up, man?
Yay! What's up, brother? How are you?
Man, I thought I was gonna be late, man. I was rushing here.
From where?
The other room.
Where are you right now? Are you in Phoenix?
No, I'm in I'm in Nowheresville, Montana. I'm in Colstrip, Montana, actually.
I don't even know what that means. I've never heard of Colstrip.
They have internet here now, so I was able to do this. Which is cool.
Got it yesterday.
Yeah, they just put in the wire.
Have you seen those AOL discs? We just got one of those.
man,
They had this thing called dial-up, and I was like, yeah, I'll use that. That's fine.
Oh man, I remember dial-up.
Those were the days.
Dude, do you remember the noise? It was like tang 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 tang, and you were like waiting to just get on the internet.
But
There was no such thing
And
as
then-
being on AIM in the middle of the night.
no.
Oh yeah.
And
Then even if you
remember
wanted to Google search, it just took hours.
I remember those 3 images that came up with like across
Yeah.
the screen with AOL. And it just sounded like a fax machine the whole time on my computer. It's just like that, that noise. And you get these 3 things, and I remember just more often than not, it'd get to the 3rd image, and then it would just not work. I'm like,
Yeah, and then when it finally did it, you're like, "Welcome, you've got mail." You're like, "Come on."
yes.
Dude, I wasn't an AOL guy, man. I was MSN Messenger. I didn't AOL.
Oh, I had both.
Lame.
I
Yeah, I
played
think
the field.
Yeah.
I think I had both.
I guess I missed it. I missed the window.
AIM was where it's at.
Dude, they brought
Well,
it-
I
did
was
they
from
bring it
Wyoming,
back?
so everything was like 3 years late to where I lived.
Touche.
Didn't they bring AIM back? AOL.
I just
SMS?
barely heard about Linkin Park, so
Have y'all heard of this Linkin Park band? They're great.
Man, we were just
They're
talking about
awesome.
them today. My roommate and I were talking about them and Limp Bizkit.
dude, I don't care what anyone says. Limp Bizkit has the greatest guitarist of all time.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah,
I don't know
really
the
anything
guitarist.
about him.
Who is
I know
it?
he's kind of creepy looking.
Oh, that's rude.
Oh yeah, for sure. They
No,
all
I
are.
mean, he intentionally did that. Like he would like paint himself.
Guess
to
who's
look
not
really
gonna be on the
weird.
podcast now because Robin made fun of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My 11-year-old self was creeped out.
You said.
Dude,
it,
I
Abby.
love Limp Bizkit, man.
Now you're bringing 11-year-olds into this, dude. Come on. Now they're especially not going to do the podcast.
Ah, great.
Who's the creep now?
Anyway, Ryan, I'm we are all very excited that you're here. And I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, everyone gets the gist of this. You know, y'all are basically on polar opposite ends of your belief system as far as streaming and record labels go.
Yeah.
Robin, do you have any like specific questions you want to start with, or do you just want Ryan to tell his story?
My opening remarks for this debate shall be no, I don't have any. No, actually, Mike, I have certain questions, but I do think that it would be much more entertaining and I think better for the conversation to just start with Ryan and his story with the record company. So, yeah.
Sure.
This is me eating popcorn, if anyone asks.
Yeah,
Zach, it's
it's
not
going to be
called
great.
popcorn.
I'm going to take you guys on a great story.
It's not called
Not
popcorn,
so great
Zach.
for me.
It's raw corn, I know.
That's funny. Country corn, that's great. Anyway, I will preface all my stories with this. My experience with record labels, I would say, is probably the worst that people can have. Everybody's heard horror stories. And I know there are good stories, but this is just my experience. And this is probably on like a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst. We were leaning toward the 10 side way more than the other side. We saw zero benefits and all the worst things from it. So I will preface it with that. It was just a bummer for us right from the beginning. So I've been signed to 3 record deals. So my first record label was an indie record label, just called Red Chord Records, tiny little label. They were distributed by Victory, so we kind of had that going for us when Victory Records was kind of when they had like A Day to Remember, and those bigger bands. We signed that deal. We were dumb and young kids at the time, so they basically like stole $60,000 from us and then shut down the business, and we never saw it. And that was just in royalties and all those things. So that was our first experience. We were like, well, that sucked. Let's go try to sign another deal. Maybe it'll be better. And so then we end up meeting Century Media Records, which is Robert Kampf, European label, been around for forever. The biggest, I would say, like metal label in the world, or at least at a time. Question.
Thank you. I'm a big fan, by the way. So is Century? That was kind of funny. Thank you. But I am a big fan. Century is a subsidiary of Sony, correct?
Yeah. So at the time when we signed, they were not.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Carry on.
So we signed with Century Media, and they had this weird thing where they were like, we like your old music, but none of your new music right off the bat. And we were recording new music at the time, and every time we'd send them a song, they hated it. They were like, no, it's just not it. So they ended up releasing all the songs we had already released again, because I don't know, but that's what they decided to do. And all our fans were like, why would you release the same thing over? Because to them, to us, it's like, we've already released this. To the label, it's like new, quote unquote. But to all our fans, they're like, this is the stupidest thing ever. Why would you re-release music you've already released? So that's how that started off. So then we start recording. In 2015, we start recording what would be our debut record on Century Media, quote unquote. And it was supposed to be called Not Dead Yet. We wrote 21 songs for that record, I think. And they told us that they were the worst songs they had ever heard written in their entire careers. They told us they were like, one of the product managers was crying at her desk. The record was so bad. That's how, like, she was like crying apparently. And
I can relate.
So we
with
were
her
like,
after I heard it.
yeah, right. I was crying because it was so bad. So we're going through this whole we are in the studio. This record label has already spent, I think they spent $40,000 on that album of their own money, like paid for it. They got it back and they went, this is awful. You're going to have to write a new record. So they, for 2 years, almost 3, they were having us travel back and forth to Los Angeles on our not paying for it. We had to pay for the gas. We had to pay for our food. And they would tell us they would pay us stipends, but they would be like, we would send in a budget and they would only approve a quarter of it. So we'd be like, they're like, we need you in LA for 2 weeks. We'd be like, okay, well, we need $50 a day for food per person, like a normal amount of money. And luckily we knew people, so we had places to stay, but we could have been like, yo, we need hotels too. That's $100 a day. So we would send them like, we'd be like, dude, it's 2 weeks. We need $1,500. They would be like, we'll approve you for $500. And that's gassed for us to drive there. They wouldn't fly us. We did that for 2 years. We wrote songs with, I would say, 25 different people. All of them it was all a joke. Like, there was like 2 guys that we wrote with that were like actually like at our level of writing and producing. And we were like, what is going on? None of the songs ever got used. And we probably did 65 songs in that chunk of time in LA, and not one, except one of them, got used on the album, and it wasn't a song we even wrote. And so
Whose choice
we
was
were
that?
like going in debt.
Yeah, who's
The record label.
Okay.
Yeah, they basically would like threaten us. They'd be like, well, if you don't come down and write these songs, you're never going to have a record come out, and you're just going to sit on the label and never do anything. That's what they would threaten us with. So they would leverage our hunger as artists to be successful, to get us to spend our own money to come to LA to write with people who literally were worse at writing than we were. And somehow they convinced us that it was a good idea. It never was. It was a complete joke. So we did it. And in the end, the songs they ended up picking were the songs that we had written pretty much before we ever even went to LA.
That's true. I have a question.
Except for the one. Yeah.
Was it just you and Justin going out at this time? Or was it the whole band going?
Yes. No, it was just two of us.
Okay.
Me and Justin.
At least it was two. I mean, dude, can you imagine having to do a $500 bill for 5 dudes for 2 weeks?
Oh,
No.
yeah. For
That's
sure. I mean,
ridiculous.
but do the math on that. Like, even $500 for 2 people for 2 weeks is
not enough.
in an expensive city for this record label that's supposed to be believing in you and investing in you. They couldn't even pay for us to drive. Like, we should have just been like, yo, you're flying us and you're putting us up at the Hilton. But they didn't. And that gets to the next point of, during this process, when we were with Century Media, Sony bought Century Media. And Century Media had promised us, I can't get into too much details on the record deal, but they had promised us a lot of different money allocations for like touring and stuff. And Sony saw the deal and goes, why in the heck is this band? Why do you want us to keep this band on the label since Sony bought it? So they convinced them, because they didn't want to break the contract, that they needed to keep Righteous Vendetta. So now Sony thinks that we're a joke. I mean, Sony was just like, this is the stupidest thing ever. So we're getting treated like absolute dump, like so bad, because no one cares. Like, they say they like us, but no one at the record label likes us. So who pays for that? We do, in the form of, having to pay just for us to go down and record a record. Like, it costed me money to go record a record for them that they were going to keep every single royalty on for the last, since 2017. So 3 years. It costed me money to get them a record that they got paid for.
Dude, I am in shock right now, because I don't think I knew a lot of this, but this is some new information for me. Robin, what are your current thoughts so far? I'm sure there's more to the story.
I mean, currently, absolutely. I mean, everything he's listed is everything that my music business teachers and people that I've known in the industry, they've all said the same thing. So I played it with a group here in Austin by the name of Alpha Rev, and I won't go into it's not my place to tell Casey, who's the leader of that group. It's not my place to tell his story, but I remember that when he had told me that when they were doing their big record, they had signed to Hollywood, and when they did their big record, which is called New Morning, they had recorded a whole nother album and had a very similar instance of, like, they turned the album in and the record label's like, no, where's the single, where's the hit, things like that. And it's just, I mean, I can bet that just fucked with your head really bad, going through all of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, they told us, the entire process, are like, we don't have the single, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, we actually do have the single. And I had people, I remember I was in Las Vegas with one of the head not program director, but the voices at Octane. You guys know Shannon Guns, I'm sure. We were in Vegas and we were talking, and I was showing her some of the new songs, and I showed her a certain song that we had written that the label told us was absolute garbage. Like I still have the emails. I actually kept all of them. And I remember having a meeting with the label, and I said, I'm going to keep this email that I sent as a told you so when what you guys have chosen to do was the complete wrong answer for the single. I'm going to keep it. And I actually sent it to him after the single they thought was going to be the single flopped. It was the one song on the record we didn't write. One of the least successful songs we've ever had with the most money behind it. We did better when we were independent than they did with it with $50,000 at radio. Y'all, that's what I'm telling you. Those people, record labels don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, I showed her the song, our song, not the one the label wanted. And she was like, oh, that's the single for sure. She works at Octane. She's a voice of Octane. She's like, this is the one. And I was like, yeah, I agree. And even she was like on our side. And they went against everybody. And they were wrong. They wasted a ton of money on something that we told them from the very beginning was a joke.
Zach?
Hello. Still a big fan. So, dude, please. I am seeing, at least for the single's already been released. Will it ever go onto an album? Maybe?
The single that we're talking about?
Yes.
It's on Not Dead Yet.
Oh,
isn't it?
No, it's out. It's on the Cursed record. They just chose not to ever give it a push.
Oh.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
I thought you just released it as a single. I didn't know it was on an album as well.
Yeah, it was on the Cursed album.
Okay, well then it's too late for this idea, but I think it would have been awesome if the album artwork was the email of them telling you it's a crap song.
Oh, that'd have been an awesome idea.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
they ended up keeping that one. We did release the song. Actually, it's our #1 most played song on Spotify. It's called "Kill the Lights," and that was one of the songs from 2015 that they said was an absolute disaster, and they were crying over. It's our highest played song. It's had more playlist placements than any song we've ever had. So they can do whatever they want with that.
Okay, are they just trying to make you feel bad by saying we're crying, or are they just trying to make a point? What's the crying about?
I mean, they were probably just being dramatic. Probably trying to be coaches on how to like help us get better. I don't know what they were doing. It was just stupid.
TJ.
Just dramatic.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Let's get that. It's like that. First grade, I got a good answer. By the way, Kill the Lights is awesome. If you haven't checked it out. I like that.
Agree.
Like going through the catalog. And true story, back when I was gonna start my own band, that was a name I had for a band name. I was like, Kill the Lights would be a cool band name. Anyways, that's my story.
Are you sticking to it?
Well, dang.
Thank you, TJ.
I'm glad you didn't, because then we would have been ripping you off, because that was probably before I wrote that song.
That's why I chose not to.
Steel Panther has a song called "Turn Out the Lights." It's pretty raunchy, but it's a great song.
Great song. They're all raunchy, but
They are. Okay, sorry.
TJ, you
Sidetrack.
look like you could be in Steel Panther. Two people in this chat look like they could be in Steel Panther.
Yeah, Robin and TJ.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking me and Robin.
Yeah.
You two don't really.
Well, in fairness, I mean, you just put on the wig, it'd be the same thing. Only one person Steel
That's
Panther.
fair.
No hair.
Who's the one with the actual?
Nuh-uh.
Is it?
Michael Starr.
Oh, okay.
The singer.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It blew my
Dude,
mind.
that
too.
blows my mind.
It blew my mind. I didn't want to believe it, and then I was like,
I'm just surprised that the bass player's hair is not real. I mean, he loves it so much. He's always like brushing it on stage. I'm just like, it's not. It's a wig. What?
yeah. I tried to deny it for too long, and then I found out, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
So I still
Dude,
believe.
that's I did not know that.
I still believe it's real to this day. I don't care.
I don't know if that band's actually like cool to me anymore now that I know that.
Oh,
Just
yes.
kidding. I'm
You
just
love
kidding.
Steel Panther.
Who doesn't love Steel
We
Panther?
love Steel Panther. I'll tell you what, man. I met why am I blanking on his name? Bass player.
Michael Starr. Lexi Fox.
Lexi Fox. What's his name? Y'all know his name.
The bass player?
His
Travis.
actual name? Oh, yeah.
His name's Travis. I met him at the Nickelback concert, and he has like super short hair, super tatted up. He looks like a badass, even not dressed up as Lexi Fox.
Yep.
That's the end of my story. Cool.
Well, I have
That's
none.
awesome.
I have no stories of Steel Panther. So
I've never seen them
not
live.
yet,
Actually.
anyways.
They're very, very good live. I saw them a few times. and that they get a little. It's like a stand-up comedy and a rock show all in one.
Yeah.
And Satchel's solos while he's playing the drums, unbelievable.
Dude, so good, so good.
And before we sidetrack
Zach, you
too
probably
much,
saw them a million times when you lived in Vegas.
I opened up for him twice, maybe 3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
impressive.
Who with?
Yeah, at the House of Blues, great
Dang.
venue. Didn't you play House of Blues in Vegas?
No, Hard Rock.
Right on.
The Hard Rock on Las Vegas Boulevard, the one right downtown.
Crazy. Yeah, for everybody who doesn't know, I actually met Ryan in Las Vegas at the coolest rock club, Vamped. You remember that night, dude? You were on tour with Like a Storm?
So fun. Yep. That's where we met Vinny. From
Yeah.
Hell Yeah. At least me.
Absolutely. And then you got on tour with Hell Yeah, and that's how you met
Mhm.
Christian. And we had Christian on last week. It's a
Yep.
small
Oh,
world,
so
you know?
there's a connection here. Okay, I'm getting it now.
Yeah.
He knows Christian. How
Yeah.
long was that tour that you were on? Like 3 or 4 months?
No, it wasn't that long. It was like maybe a month and a few days. Yeah, I think it was 19 shows, 20 shows.
Hey, that's a good chunk.
Yeah.
That was awesome. One of the best tours of my whole life, man. We had a blast.
I bet, man.
The last show was our drummer's birthday, his 21st birthday, and he got to go hang out with Vinny on the bus, and Vinny and him did a shot for his 21st birthday.
21 shots?
No. The only person who could survive that's Vinny himself.
Probably. Dude, Goggins is only 21.
Was at the time, so now he's 23. 20.
I didn't do
Oh,
it so
sorry.
young.
I'm bad at math. It's 24.
Okay, man. Just
Yeah,
be
he's a
good
little
musician.
kid, man.
Wow. He's great, dude.
He joined us. He joined RV when he was 16.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
The day he supposed to graduate from high school, he played Rock on the Range. It was awesome.
The day he was supposed to graduate, so he played that instead of walking.
I would have done the same.
Yes. Yeah.
Now I'm super jealous.
And he sent a picture to all his friends of him like on stage. There was like 10,000 people, and he was like, "Happy graduation day, guys."
That guy is my hero.
That is awesome. He got his diploma, though, right?
Yeah, barely, because I remember he'd be in the clubs we were playing, and he'd be doing his homework at the bar, like on his computer doing his online homework. And the rule was that his dad said he could go on tour as long as he was passing, and he started failing. And we were on tour, I don't even know who we were with, some bigger band, and his dad called me, and he's like, he has D's. If I see one F pop up on this report card, he's flying home, like in the middle of this tour. So I remember like walking through the clubs, and I'd be like, "Are you doing your homework? Please do your homework."
Bro, okay. Dude, it was... I cannot imagine having to do homework on the road, because I remember there was a tour I did with a band called... I was
That's a
playing
weird
with...
name.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of exclamation points with that weird upside down at the end. Anyway, it was with conflict of interest. I was playing with Conflict of Interest, my bro Mike Stanley, and we were on tour with Adelita's Way. And I remember we had a homecoming set, not at a high school, a homecoming meaning at the end of the tour, we ended it in Las Vegas, which was where I was at the time.
Right.
And we were the headliner, so we had to stack our set. So our set with Adelita's was like 6 tunes, but I think we have 9 or 10 tunes when we got back. And I remember having to learn 4 extra tunes, 2 of which were covers, one of which was Walk by Pantera. And for those of you who don't play guitar, not an easy song to learn or play. On top of that, it's hard. It's in a weird in-between tuning. Like it's not exactly, it's not a half step down or a full step down. It's like in between. So it's a tough song to learn. And there's a point to this story. The point of the story is I was having to do homework on the road. It was learning tunes. and that was, it was hard because you wanted to be partying with your boys, you know. So the fact that he did homework on the road, God bless him. I know how difficult that must have been.
I don't know if
sorry for the story.
It's fine. I got my own. Well, it's not my story, but so one of my favorite bands is a band called Eve 6, and when they signed their record deal, when they signed their record deal, they were still in high school, and I don't know if this is like 100% true, but I read somewhere that they had actually a stipulation in their contract that they would not release the album, and that the band couldn't do anything until the boys graduated high school. And so like the day that they graduated, they broke out on tour and were like, you know, and Inside Out became like their big number, whatever, like top 10 hit. And yeah,
that's insane. I didn't know that. I love that band.
Oh God, they're so good.
Is that the 1985 album, Robin?
Shut up.
No, it's I'm blue, dabba dee ba bow, you dabba dee. That's Eve 6, right?
No,
I'm blue.
Eiffel 65.
I knew there was a 6.
Close. I mean,
yeah.
Started with an E, had a 6 in it. You know, same thing.
Yeah.
Hey Ryan, your background, you've got a bunch of faders up. Are you just doing that to look cool, or is that an actual session up right now?
Oh no, that's a session. Yeah, we were working all day today.
Who are you working with right now?
So I am working. I'm working with a country artist named Jonah Prill. He's a TikTok star, and we're just writing some tunes with him, getting ready to do an EP. So we've just been writing, nothing like on paper yet, but yeah, we're just demoing and writing and getting some tunes ready.
Oh man, I got to meet Jonah pre-COVID, I guess, first week of March when you were in Nashville with him.
That's right. That was like right before COVID.
Yeah, dude. Like
the week before.
The NBA and South by Southwest was canceled like the same night. I remember we were hanging out at that Irish bar, and you got the text.
Yeah.
So I was playing the Houston Rodeo that night.
Really?
Yeah.
When they announced.
Yeah, it's like we were about to go on stage, and I'm like, I had been texting a few people because I had like 8 or 9 gigs lined up during South by, and you just get this thing of like South by's canceled, and we're like about to go on stage, and my brain just goes, oh God, how am I gonna pay my rent? Like, because I'm like walking on stage with my bass going, crap.
Dude, that must have been terrifying. That is why I don't look at my phone before a show. I don't, because let's say you're in a fight with your other half or whatever. You don't want to see bad news right before you get on the show. So I don't look at a phone before I get on stage.
Yeah, it's true. Because you owe it to the people that are there to put on the best show you possibly can. So no matter what's going on in your life, your job is to perform for those people. So if there's anything negative on your phone, man, I'm the same way. I stay away from my phone, 45 an hour before the set.
You have to, dude, because a bad text or finding out something you don't want to know, that can, put a damper on the show.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Audiences are not dumb. They know when something ain't right.
I don't know. They
do. They'll let you know too.
This audience may this audience was pretty drunk by the time we started. Pretty drunk by the time we started playing. So
were they purdy and drunk, or just purdy drunk?
No, there were some purdy people, but they were purdy drunk, like all of them.
Purdy when you're drunk.
Like I remember I had it was my first night using my wireless connection for my bass, and this guy for like 4 songs just had this dumbfounded look on his face and just like staring at me, and finally I kind of looked at him like, you okay, man? And he goes, I don't understand how you're making noise when there's no cord connecting your bass, man. And I was like, I just kind of looked at him and I'm like, you want to try it? And like I brought my bass down and he plucked it. He goes, I just don't get it, man. How's it happening? And I'm like, magic, dude. And I just walked away.
That's like, great.
If that puts
that's awesome.
If that tells you how drunk the crowd was. So
sounds like a little more than just drunk there.
I want to play for that crowd.
Drunk crowds can be amazing, or they can be the worst, man. I don't know. Drunk crowds to me are like, it can be good, but it can also be bad, man.
Yeah.
I've seen body parts of women that didn't want to see, or way human beings should be at shows.
They showed you the old forearm?
They should not.
This is a family-friendly show.
I
bro.
remember a quote. This like 67-year-old woman just straight on just gave me the whole show. And she comes up to us afterwards. She's like she's from like the deep south, where I think we're in Mississippi or Alabama. I guess, So she comes up like,
Great barbecue.
kind of talks like this, like she's been smoking. And she's like, "Hey boys, how you like them titties?" We were like, yeah, cool. And she goes, "Best you're gonna see for 60." And
I hope y'all were
that
nice.
was- Oh, we were super nice. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
We were like nice young
That's
men, and we were like respectful, but we were also like, "Whoa, are you gonna buy a CD or?"
Yeah, we're
Or 10.
we're in debt here. With the record label. You gonna buy a CD? What are you doing here?
I wouldn't have known.
Those
what
were
to
great,
say.
but you gotta buy something.
Yeah, I would have been like,
I
"Oh,
mean-
those were lovely, thank you." I mean, what are you saying?
Yeah, it's like I have nothing to compare them to because that's never happened.
You're
But
the first 67-year-old.
I mean, I can imagine worse.
Why would you do that? Okay, all
Uh,
right, time out on the playing field. I want to get back on track.
That's what I was just about to do.
Okay, so
While
Robin,
we're
do you
here.
have your rebuttals or
Every
Oh, yeah.
any?
Well, okay, so I'll say this. So to get back onto the whole record label discussion here, everything that he's said, I have no argument with that. I've heard horror stories like that. I remember the one of some guys that, excuse me, that I grew up watching a band called the Daylights. They had a record deal with Sony. And I remember one time when I saw them and I asked them about that, it's like, they're like, "Man, we are hanging on by our fingertips." I mean, it's not pretty. And I mean, they were opening for Katy Perry. They were opening for Need to Breathe. They were opening for One Republic. I mean, they were on the big tours. And they're now Grammy Award winners. I mean, they're Grammy Award winning songwriters now. So it's like, these guys, like, they know what they're doing. And the record deal just...
I saw that.
the record label just didn't take them seriously. And I mean, I think they have one of the best sounding pop albums of 2015, I think was when their album came out. And it's a great sounding album. But yeah, I mean, everything that you're saying, that's the terrible side of record labels. And
Yeah.
the way that I always had it explained to me was that record labels are not your saving grace. Like, they're not your your golden ticket to the sweet life. It's like a necessary
No, that's
evil.
American Idol.
Anyways,
Sorry.
It's a whole nother animal.
No,
No.
I just
Okay.
wanted to-
So
Comedic relief.
yeah.
definitely. So here's what's going to happen when you sign a record deal. If you're a huge artist and you already have clout and leverage, obviously it's different. But when you're a young band with a lot of potential and no fans and no income, they know that. And all record deals, all of them, at least major deals, are designed, as Kanye puts it, to rape the artist. If any of you watch Kanye's new podcast, he talks about Universal and record labels. He has the same opinion as I do. They're designed that way. And quite literally. So they are going to spend a certain amount of money. So let's say your band signs, and they're gonna give you $1 million budget. They're gonna break up $150,000 of that is gonna go toward recording the record. Okay, $150,000 there. $150,000 is going to go toward radio. $45,000 is going to go toward music video, and they break it up. Here's the $1 million budget. Here's how we're breaking it up, and here's how you're going to pay it back. So what they do They sign you. They lend you all this money. I like to call record. They're just a bank. They're a shitty bank. That's really all they are. They lend you all this money to do all these things, and they have all the people to make these things happen. That is the key. They do have the people to make you big. Okay. But what they do is they spend this money, and then they're like, all right, we're going to do an 87-13 split, 13 your way, 87 our way. But that 87-13, what they don't tell you is that the 13% that is yours goes back to paying the label back for what you owe them. So if you spend $1 million, so say your first year you made $1 million, they're going to take 13% of that $1 million, so $130,000 that you made that year, and that's going to go toward your recoup. The other 87% that they made, the other $870,000, they pocket it, but it doesn't go toward your recoup. Only the 13% that's yours. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they made their money back. Their return on investment has already happened, but they're making only the 13% that's yours go back to recouping. So they pocket $870,000 and only put 130 of that back toward what you owe them. And that's how they get you. So they get you into the next album cycle. They double dip. Yeah. That's all it is. Yeah. And it's like they're making so much money, and the artist never has a way to get out, because by the time the next record cycle comes around, they've made their money back. So they're like, oh man, we're just spending money we already have. Let's double the budget. We're going to go bigger. We're going to go way bigger this time. We're going to spend $10 million on this record. They spend $10 million. They do the same thing. And now you're deeper in the hole than you were on your 13% recoup. And then it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. You can never get out. So, you have to fulfill the contract. And by the end of it, they've made millions and millions of dollars.
So have you seen the movie Artifact by 30 Seconds to Mars? Their little documentary.
Absolutely, Jared Leto. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a huge insight into this crap.
Yeah. If nobody's seen that, whether or not you're a 30 Seconds to Mars fan or anything, that's an incredible documentary, because he gets a bunch of the actual execs to talk, and they spill the beans on a lot of stuff, and it's a really, really great insight into the and it's dirtiness.
It's crazy how we call it spilling the beans, because this stuff is in plain sight. Like, it happens all the time. People know. Everyone knows record labels suck, but we all like pretend like they don't, and we're like, oh, I'm going to sign a record deal, fully well knowing that they're ripping artists off like crazy. And most of these people that run these record labels know nothing about music. Nothing. They can't tell you anything about songwriting. They can't tell you anything about writing a song, music, nothing.
So it's funny.
They just sit behind a computer and tell you it's good or bad.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because this is where Zach and I have a difference of opinion with the machine, as we both call it, where I am like completely and utterly against the machine. I don't like this processed, like, it needs to sound like this, and here's what your song needs to talk about, and this kind of thing. I think there's a place for it, and I think there's really good songs that come out of it. But I just never liked that thing. But I do respect someone like Zach, who is diving headfirst into it in Nashville. I respect that, because I'm too much of an individualist. I'm too proud of what I do to go and listen to someone else go, this isn't what we want. We want you to dress like this and play this song. It's like, ugh. Zach, you had your hand up twice now, so.
Thank you. Let me rewind for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Please do not go into depth, Ryan. I just, real quick, the 8713 thing you were talking about, for our viewers who don't know much about record labels, is that a pretty standard number? Obviously, every record deal is different, but from what you've seen from y'all's deals, and from, I know you have a lot of friends with record deals, what is a common number that you see, a split that you see?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a ton of, I haven't seen a ton of record deals, but from what I understand and talking to other people, 87-13, give or take 5 to 10 on either side.
Right on.
Somewhere
Okay.
around there.
I just wanted to clear that up for people who don't know
Yep.
anything about that. And on what Robin said, first of all, thank you for the kind words, Robin. I do appreciate it. Rock and roll.
We may disagree, but I respect you.
Hey, it's all good. I am fully. I mean, obviously, I love individuality. I love, I love 80s metal. I dress 80s metal and I play 80s metal. But when it comes to music, I mean, it's. I don't disagree with the machine. I think that there's a reason songs get on the charts and they're catchy. They feel good.
Controlled by the machine.
The machine.
It's a conspiracy, man. It's a conspiracy.
Here's where I actually agree with Robin. It is a machine and it's a club, and if you're not in it, you're not in it. And it's a bunch of people who control everything. And that's how it is. What our job is as artists is to find where we fit into that, because there are people who take on the machine and beat it, that get huge and make a ton of money and do it independently. Tom Petty or Dave Matthews Band, they're a great example. Yeah. They bypass the machine, and you do have those anomalies. But for people like me or like Zach or even you, Robin, if you can find a way to fit into that machine and do very well at what you love, then maybe that's a good trade-off. Maybe it's like, okay, well, I get to go to work every day and I get to write songs that maybe I necessarily don't love and they're telling me what to do. But because I go and do that, I still like it. But then I get to have the freedom to do music every day, all day, and still do my own thing.
Yeah. Well, John Mayer said it
and
best.
So when you can find that.
Yeah, I agree with you. When you can find that, I mean, it's like a cherry thing. John Mayer said it best. He goes, I had to make the first two pop records before I could ever do, the blues albums and the trio albums and all of that. And it just, he just happened to write two really great pop albums. So, but yeah, he even said it. He's like, you have to kind of like, it's this, dance monkey dance for just a little bit until you get that little bit of pull, and then they'll let you do your own thing. And I definitely see that side of things. So I'm not, I guess my reasoning behind why I personally want to get a record deal at some point would be because of what you said earlier. They have the people to make that happen. And I don't have a team of people. I have me, and that's about it. So, my parents help me with what they can, but they've got a business of their own to run. So,
sure.
So that's my
and it's,
I don't think I'd want to sign a major label deal though. Cuz I don't think there's a point in it.
I mean, especially if you're trying to be an artist, man, they're not going to let you be an artist. They're business people. They sell music. Their job is to sell music. If you don't make music that they can sell, they don't like you. They don't care. So, I mean, you basically have to bow to them and do what they say, or they wreck your music career because they won't let you do anything else. Right. They'll just keep you in that record deal, and you're exclusive to them. So anything you go out and work on is theirs. If they want it, they have first rights to everything you do. And so if you don't fulfill that contract, you're stuck. So it's like basically they get you in a corner, and you do what they say or you lose your career. It's up to you, So I mean, it's dirty, man. It's brutal, but they do have the money and they do have the people. So if you want to be that big artist, you want to be on the big stages, and you don't care about the money and you just want to play shows and be on a big stage, then a record label might be for you. But if you want a career that you have longevity, because you could sign a major deal and you only hear about 7% of the artists that actually go big. The other 93% of them never go anywhere, never have careers in music because they're signed to the label. They can't do anything. Bye.
Yeah.
So, you want to take the risk. Could I be the next superstar? Maybe. But if you're not and you're stuck on a record deal, then what? Yeah. Walmart's calling, McDonald's is calling. It's a big risk. But they have the tools to do it. And I would say they're the only people that have the tools to do it. And they know that.
Yeah.
It's hard because, you know, all the labels are buddy buddy with Spotify. All the labels are buddy buddy with iTunes. They're all friends.
Yeah.
It's no joke that like certain artists get certain things that are on certain labels. There's no question to that. So if you're not with the label that knows them, you're not really in the club. And, you know, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
And I see it every day now, you know, that I'm not on Sony. We're in a very, you know, particular situation with Righteous Vendetta where we came off of getting all those benefits with the Spotify playlists and stuff to where now we get those playlists without having someone liaison us to those playlists because we already did in the first place.
Right.
So it's almost like Spotify is running an automated robot that sees our stuff and they're like, oh, they were on this playlist last time. Well, we're just going to put their new song on this playlist.
Nice.
Like, and we didn't do anything. So we're kind of riding the coattails of what Sony did for us as far as playlists and things like that. So that gets us into our next point of streaming, streaming services.
I was going to say, but you brought it. Now you're bringing up streaming services, and this is something where it's like I see the pros of streaming services, but I don't. As of right now, most people that I've talked to, you can't make a living off of streaming services. And then I met you.
I will say this. Yeah, I will say this. I will preface this with streaming services do not pay enough. They don't. I completely agree with that. They need to pay artists more. The CEO of Spotify is worth like hundreds of millions of dollars.
He's like
yeah, maybe it is billions. Yeah, not okay. I agree, but
and he's younger than
Spotify. Sure, and that's crazy.
Yeah,
it really is. Artists need to be paid more. I will say that. I completely agree, which is good for me. I'm
will say that
to get paid more.
So,
I agree.
Yeah,
because without us, none of them have a job.
Right. Exactly. Which is what we were talking about earlier with the Music Modernization Act. Now, I apologize. I kind of interrupted you several times in your train of thought, so I'll let you continue.
You're fine.
But yeah, it brings it. That's what the for those of you that don't know, the Music Modernization Act was a bill that passed. I'll give a very terrible brief description of this thing. It's overall, it's called the Music Modernization Act. It was broken up into it's a bill that was passed that had 3 bills within it. And there's the Music Modernization Act, which is what deals with streaming services, basically making evening the playing field, you know, saying like, here's how much you need to be paying artists. We put together a council why is my mic quieter? They put together like a council within the Copyright Office to make sure that royalties and everything were paid evenly, and it basically got the streaming services in line and on the same page, because beforehand it was streaming services they could choose what they wanted to pay you. So Apple paid one thing, Tidal paid one thing, Spotify paid one thing, and so now it's all bringing it into the same playing field. The second one was the Classics Act that deals with copyright going back over 75 years and stuff. And then the third one was the AMP Act, which got gave the producers and engineers royalties within all of that. So that's in essence what the Music Modernization Act did, and they did that in 2018 was when that passed. So that definitely was a big leg up for the artists, because that council that they
which
put
is
together,
amazing.
Yeah, because that council that they put together is actually run.
It's
by
amazing
people.
to have people actually advocating for artists now.
Well,
to have someone advocating for artists, because no one ever does.
Well, and one of the big things about the bill was, and I know we said early on that there's no politics in this. So the one thing that I would say political was that it was like almost unanimously bipartisan. Like all sides of the Senate, the House, and the executive branch, you know, were like, yep, absolutely, and signed it, and you know, here we are. It's still not perfect. There's still a lot of work to do, but it was definitely a major step in the right direction. And when that got signed, it changed my opinion of streaming services. Because before that, I was like, screw it, I'm not putting my music up there because I'm not going to see a dime of it for years, if ever. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll back it up a little bit. So I've lived through the era. I started my band in 2008. It's 2020, so I've been here for 12 years, almost 13. We started our band when MySpace was the first thing you created your profile on. So I went through the MySpace era, then Facebook hit, all of it. I've been through all those eras. Not to say that it's like crazy how long I've been around, but I've been able to experience what it's like to not sell records before streaming, when it was about how many records you sold in the first week. I remember my first record label like, you only did this many records this week. This is a failure. And then, we moved into the era of streaming, and I've been around for that entire thing. And what I will say is that once streaming came around, it was almost exactly the time, I was able to start actually making money in the music industry, because not only was I getting paid for obviously albums that I sold at shows, but I could put a song out that generated streams on a daily, monthly basis. And so it gave me a platform where I could, as much as I wanted to release music, I had people that would stream it. And I somewhat give credit to the record label for building that foundation and releasing us from the record deal. We definitely carry that with us, which has been amazing for us to be able to work off of and have, because it makes it to where I can, me and Justin write music every day. It's all we do, whether it's for country or some other band, or, a Universal company that needs something for a NASCAR race. That's what we do all the time. And Justin's even more than me. And it's because of streaming services. And then the fact that we know, okay, this month, we know how our bills are going to get paid because we have this streaming service that's, we know is coming in. It's almost like having a W-2 job where you're going to get a paycheck.
Yeah.
That didn't happen for us when we had to sell records, because we didn't sell records. No one bought records. So we had that lull of time when no one bought records, and then streaming came along and it was like, well, I mean, if people are streaming music, then, if they're streaming our music, we can make money.
Yeah. It's a, because I grew up, both my parents are musicians, and so I grew up around, a generation of musicians that looked at the whole music industry as just a completely different thing. And so when I have to tell myself all the time, it's like, it's not 1982, the music industry is completely different. I have to get on Instagram every day if I'm going to be an artist. You have to get on Instagram every day. You have to look at those things and make posts and be active and do all these things. And
that's sad.
It's like I want to write music.
It takes the focus away from art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's good to hear that there's, and I know a lot of people that are doing it, but it's always good to hear when people are like, I make a living off of writing and playing music. So, because Zach and I were we were talking about, or I said something earlier. I look at so much music stuff on Instagram, and I keep seeing all of these artists on Instagram, which you go to their profile and it'll say, country artist, female singer, songwriter, guitar player, and then all you see is just model pictures of them. And you never see them actually playing their instrument or singing or doing anything musical. And I see it with, it doesn't matter what gender, what genre they are. I hardly ever see people on there who are actually showing what they do, which is play music. It's always just really great looking pictures, and they're doing something, it'll be on a really cool boat. And then I showed Zach, there's this one kid out of,
I mean, in all honesty, if I'm on a cool boat, I'm putting it on my story.
It's true. You probably should. It's a cool
of course,
thing.
yeah.
But there's this kid out of New York. He's an 18-year-old jazz drummer, and his name's Grayson, and I can never pronounce his last name. But he's fucking phenomenal. And all he does, every single video that you pull up, it's the same camera angle, and it's just him playing drums, the whole thing. And he's followed by some of the best drummers around the world. And it's okay, this kid gets it, it's like he's playing his music, he's doing his art,
Yeah.
he's doing his craft, and I don't know. Instagram it's such a double-edged sword for me. It's like a necessary evil, like a record company. I think a record company is an unfortunate necessary evil. Although with streaming services, I will say it's going away. I truly think that record labels are losing their foothold on a lot of things. So
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's still like I experience it. There's tons of playlists that I try to get on, and everyone I talk to, like whether it's the country world or the metal world or rock or whatever, they're like, "Well, do you have someone who can help you get on that playlist?" I'm like, "Why do I need someone to help me? Don't they just like music and they pick the songs they like?" And they're like, "No, that's not how it works. You gotta pay for it. You gotta have clout. You gotta have somebody that can get you there." And it's like, well, what's the point? Like, yeah, I want more people to hear my music, but if I don't know the people that can make more people hear my music, how do they hear my music? And that's what we have to figure out. And it's hard, and it costs a lot of money, because now all we can do is post videos and post TikToks and do all these things, but those companies take your videos and suppress them so hard because they want you to spend money to advertise. But then you want to advertise, you want to even have a little dent, you got to spend $500.
yeah.
So it costs money no matter what you try to do. And there's always exceptions, just like anything else. Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
There's always exceptions to the rule. But for the general artists, the hundreds, of thousands of independent artists around the world that are trying to make it happen, it's a big, big uphill battle.
Yeah.
And I mean, streaming to me is like a tiny breath of fresh air of like, well, something could happen, we could get on a playlist, but it's still so hard, so difficult.
Yeah.
You gotta love it. That's what I tell people. They're like, I want to be in music. I'm like, man, first off, you better love music more than anything in the world. You have to love it, because if you don't, you ain't gonna make it.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna get hard, and then once it gets hard, it'll get harder, and then it'll get harder, and it's always hard. There's never a time when it's like, man, I'm just coasting right now. This is great. You're always like, man, I need to write some music. I need to get something out there. Wow, it's been forever since we released a song,
Yeah.
Dude, you just nailed it on the head, man. There's no such thing as a hobby with music. You're either all in or nothing,
It's true. It's true. You gotta be all in.
Absolutely.
Or it will fade, it'll fade. I see it happen all the time. Friends, non-friends, bands I used to tour with, bands I toured with 8 years ago, all have day jobs, all, aren't involved in music at all.
Yeah.
And they're okay with that. And I'm like, well, you didn't love it in the first place, or you wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I can't stop. I can't stop. For the rest of my life, I cannot stop. I can't.
Yeah.
No.
And
Because
if you're
when
a
it's
musician,
great,
you'll figure it out, man.
of course, dude. And I mean, when it's great, man. When you're on tour and you're at the top of the whatever that hotel we were at the top of Nashville, drinking old fashions and overlooking the city, like it's nights like that where you're like, okay, this is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the highest highs, the lowest lows, but the in between is even better. The struggle and the things you look back on, and you're like, I did that.
It makes you appreciate it.
Just
the
to play a
struggle
show.
definitely makes you appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's almost the best part to me, because it's all worth it. I mean, I love music. I would give up everything I have, to keep doing music. That's because that's what we did for 13. We gave up our lives, we gave up our futures to do music. So, and who knows what we'll do from here on out, man? Who knows? But we'll keep doing music.
Yeah.
Good. Man, this was like the nicest boxing match I've ever seen.
Well, you were the one that set it up as a boxing match. I knew it wasn't gonna be that.
You did. I mean, you made the graphic, and
I love the
know.
graphic.
I think we're gonna agree on most things.
That's exactly how I felt. I was
I
like,
might be an exception.
Get me,
We might
Rob.
be an
Get
exception
me.
to the rule as far as, our story might be different than most people, and that's probably true. But it's just my experience and my perspective on how it's helped me.
Yeah.
And that's probably so different for so many people. But my perspective is one of many, and people can form their own opinions based on multiple perspectives.
Well, and it's like I remember distinctly. So my music business teacher in college was an A&R for Geffen Records, and I think A&M Records as well for a long time. I mean, he worked with Styx, and that was the one band he kept using because he absolutely hates them. So he kept using them as the example, and so I just remember him telling us like over and over again. He's like, "Look, the record business is like signing a record contract is not your golden ticket. It's a business contract. Like, it's a business. Our job is to make money. That's what businesses do. And so if they look at you and go, oh, this has potential, and then you just happen to sign that contract right as like." I think he even used this as an example. He's like, I remember a band getting signed, and they were like gonna be this big thing, and right when they signed Guns N' Roses like a month later, and it's like that band completely forgotten. They're like, nope, that's the shiny toy now.
Never heard of them before.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it's just like you.
Yep. It's
your chances.
It's how it works, man.
So.
Yeah, you're either they say record labels are like Christmas. You're either red or you're green. Red means you don't make money. Green means you do. And at the end of the year, if you're in red, bye.
Yeah.
It's simple as that.
Yeah.
So side note on Geffen Records.
Oh boy.
You guys ever heard of Rock City Angels?
Mm-mm.
I've heard of that.
Johnny Depp's old band.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
Rumor has it, and I don't know, it's just a rumor, but I heard that they were gonna, like, Geffen wanted to sign them so they wouldn't do anything to threaten Guns N' Roses, like climb to the top. And there were some crazy conspiracies and stuff allegedly that happened with that. And so Rock City Angels, I guess, got signed by Geffen and then just disappeared. And then Johnny Depp became an actor.
Yeah. 21 Jump Street happened.
That's crazy.
I remember when I was I was really, really fortunate a few years ago to actually go and attend the Grammys, and Hollywood Vampires, who Johnny Depp plays with, was playing that night. And so I just remember the whole night, it's like it starts with Taylor Swift, and then there's, a bunch of other people, and I think Adele sang, and I remember Kendrick Lamar performed because he was the best of the whole night. Just stellar, amazing performance. But the volume level for the whole night was like right here until the Hollywood Vampires played, and it just like went through the roof. Like it was just balls to the wall loud. And I was like, yes, rock and roll.
They're very good live.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's
That's
the closest. That's the closest I've ever gotten to Johnny Depp.
Never seen him.
Worth the show.
I have a question. What was the band you were talking about earlier? The Nightlights?
The Daylights.
Close.
The Night Brides?
As soon as you said that, I'm a humorous person. All I could think of was like, if the record label said no, it's like, did they go home and they could change their name to the Nightlights and come back with new songs? And be
So,
like, how about this?
There's a video somewhere. They used to be our worship band. So like the church camp that I grew up going to, they would come and be the worship band there. And so I remember one year I was playing with the little high school band that was, we'd like play in the mornings and then they would come and play at night. And so
I thought they were the Daylights.
They called themselves the Daylights because that's their name, obviously. And so we called ourselves the Nightlights. We thought we were really clever because we would play during the day and they would only play at night. So that's where
my head was at.
We were 15 and it was funny to us.
I'm not 15 and I also enjoyed that story, so thank you.
You're welcome. Somewhere there's a video of us.
That's wonderful.
But
share it next time to the page.
No. Oh no,
Please
the
do.
only video that I'm gonna share to the page is Zach and I playing at our graduation.
Dude, stop.
No, I will.
I want to see that.
Oh, I'll send it to you. It's glorious. It is. It is still to this day one of the best performances I've ever been a part of.
No, it was fun and it was an honor to do it. It's just funny because always brings it up.
Always.
Come on.
Dude, it was like it's like a peak. It's like everybody else had, who was big in 2000? What pop artists were big in 2008? They were probably picking like
Katy Perry.
Yeah, like
Kesha.
They were picking those as their high school graduation song, and
not us, pal.
We did, with a little help from my friends, the Joe Cocker version, full band with a choir and a horn section. Like,
no, it was awesome. Really cool. It was an honor, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was really cool.
So, I think we win on that remark. Except for your drummer, he wins for high school graduation.
My drummer?
Yeah, but that's different.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me. I was like, you were my drummer.
No,
Goggins.
Oh, dude, Goggins like just went up a few notches in my book. That's
Absolutely.
really cool. I didn't know that about him.
So.
Yeah, he was a little kid. When I first met Zach Goggins, our drummer, he was 12 years old and he asked for my autograph.
Wow.
Like, that's how little he was when I was still in a band.
Who would have thunk that he'd be playing with you?
He did.
Isn't that nuts? Yeah, I guess he did.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hey.
Yeah. So I met him when he was 12 and I was 19. I was 19 or 20 and we had just started Righteous Vendetta like 2 years earlier. And he came to see us play.
How do you
we
find
opened
out
for
about
Hatebreed.
y'all?
I mean, we were just around. He's from Montana. We were from Wyoming, so we played shows in Montana all the time.
Okay. He probably discovered you on MySpace. Hey, TJ.
MySpace, yeah. Top friends.
Absolutely. So you've been jamming Righteous Vendetta this week, right?
Oh yeah. It's a new
Dude,
music.
I feel like I've been blabbing all night. Did you have any questions or insight? I apologize. Okay, you're right. It was really Robin that was.
It's the popcorn episode, the rockcorn episode.
Absolutely. I didn't even
yeah.
think I was going to be talking at all. So, anyway.
I guess. Well, first of all, Ryan, I think you're the only band I've ever heard of from Wyoming. And no offense to Wyoming, but
I was just about to say The Used, and then I was like, no, wait, they're from Utah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we had Chris Ledoux.
Oh, that's right. We play a couple songs in the group that I play in.
Yeah, we had Chris Ledoux. But other than we had Teenage Bottle Rocket too out of Laramie. I don't know if you guys remember that punk band.
You
I
lost
do.
me on both.
Nope. Well, Chris Ledoux's a big country star. Was a big country star, and
You know Chris Ledoux.
yeah.
Sing a song.
What is his most famous song?
We'll talk. We'll find. I'll play you some songs afterwards, Zach. After the podcast, because I'll have to go digging for that. But I know he's got a song called Caballo Diablo. That was a pretty big one. We do that with Pauline, the lady that I play with. And then he had a bunch of other hits. He was real big in the early mid-90s.
Well, didn't he do that famous cover of Life is a Highway?
No,
That's Rascal
That's
Flatts.
Rascal
boy.
Flatts.
Is a highway.
so
Yeah, but he did the cover that was like even bigger.
Well, Rascal Flatts is a cover.
yeah. So
There's a ton of covers of it.
yeah, there's a
So
ton
you're saying he did a cover of a cover?
of a cover.
Wait,
Okay, now I'm.
Who's the original?
Oh God, who did that? He was in a band called he's from Canada. Oh, why am I blanking on it? We talked about him on an episode of One Hit Wonders. He's a one-hit wonder.
In a band called the Tim Hortons.
No, Red Rider. He was in the guy who did Life
Oh,
is a
like
Highway. The guy who
Lunatic Fringe, like that Red Rider.
the guy that did Life is a Highway was in Red Rider. Yeah.
Tom Cochran.
Is that
Yeah.
it?
Tom Cochran.
Yeah. So Chris Ledoux had this Cowboys hat, Cadillac Ranch, Copenhagen. But this Cowboys hat would be his biggest song. So you're never gonna take this Cowboys hat. So
I'll be dang.
It's great.
Yeah, Wyoming represent.
Yeah. But then the other band that you mentioned, I do know them as well. I didn't know they were from Wyoming. So.
Yep. Teenage Bottle Rocket. They were a big punk band.
Yeah.
They did Warped Tour tons of years and stuff. Yeah.
Big punk guy. Love me some punk music.
This is like a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah.
This is probably like 20 years ago.
That's
Did y'all do
Yeah.
Warp? Brian?
somewhere
think
my
they're
mom is
still-
like doing this.
Yeah.
Long time ago. Like, what are you talking about?
We did Warp. We didn't do the whole tour. We did one show in 2018 and another show I think the next year. They asked us to do it a couple years, but we were on other tours at the time and it just didn't make sense because they weren't paying anything, and Warped Tour is miserable because you're driving. If you're not a big band, you're driving yourselves, and it's 8 to 10 hours every single night, day after day.
It's
And
hot.
we were on other tours, and it just wasn't worth it. Yeah, it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Dude, I've never
would've
done
loved
Warped
to.
Tour. I've went to one Warped Tour in Las Vegas. It was super hot.
Mhm.
But
Well,
this
yeah,
is
it's
not
Vegas.
what. Thanks. What I'm about to say is not my opinion. Okay, but I have talked to several touring bands, not naming any names, that have. I've heard a lot of horror stories about Warped Tour, about being a miserable experience. So that's why I was asking if you had been on it, or if you could agree to that, disagree to that, or tell me about your experience.
100% agree. 100% agree.
Right on. But
Yep.
they put you in front of big
Yep.
crowds. So, I mean,
Yeah.
They
even
do.
the smallest stage, dude, even had big crowds at it,
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
And when I
yeah.
say
Yeah,
small
we played that
stages,
stage a couple years.
that
Dude,
whole.
there-
Go ahead, Zach. Sorry.
oh, I was just going to say, I mean, dude, one of the stages is like a pickup truck with a dang trailer on the back, you know?
Yeah,
There's
the Ernie
some
Ball
small-
stage. It's just a
There's some
fold-out
small
stage.
stages
Yeah.
back there.
Well,
But there's huge crowds.
Yeah,
well, that whole
yeah.
world, that pop punk, metalcore. I mean, like, that's a ravenous fan base, and that was one of the first.
Justin Olmsted, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, I think that's the first time anyone's ever been handed a beer on the podcast.
And you've had it twice now, right? You've had it twice tonight.
I haven't even. They're just sitting there. He just keeps handing them to me, but they're just sitting here.
I love Justin. Dude,
And I
he is
keep
too
hitting
good
him with
to
my
you.
foot, and I keep kicking him out of the way.
Ju-
I told him to come into the podcast and just get in the camera and be like,
As he should, man.
What are
He
you doing?
needs to show off that beard he's growing.
Now, what is
Dude,
what
he
is
looks
for those of
really good.
that don't know, what does Justin play and do in Righteous Vendetta?
He's the merch
So
guy.
Justin's the original guitar player.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a lights guy.
Yeah.
Hey, those are
He's-
very
he's not-
important
he doesn't-
people.
I agree. So he was the original touring guitarist, and he writes all the songs with me. So he doesn't tour anymore, but we still do all the music together. So we've got a studio together. So we're working on that artist
I can
right now
I
at
can
his
see
house in his studio.
I can see the studio. It's a nice looking studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sweet. Actually, it's amazing. He has the best quality recordings coming out of a trailer house in probably all of America.
Wow.
Dude, and I can vouch for that. I've heard a lot of the mixes that he does, and he does incredible work. Am I allowed to say like that he does sync work? Well, I guess I just said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does
Yeah.
film. Okay, I don't know if that was a secret or not, but yeah, he's a full-time plugger for like TV and film, and he's crushing it. He makes good stuff.
Yes.
You know?
In this, yeah, it's amazing. He's amazing producer and mix engineer.
Great beard.
Great beard.
Does he
Yeah, great beard.
We all strive to be bearded like that someday.
Oh no, I shaved
Not
mine
me,
off 2
not
days
me.
ago, man.
I gotta shave. This is too much for me.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
dude.
is
This is quarantine stuff.
some of
Absolute.
us strive. I say that I've never seen it, so I don't know. But does he produce all of the Righteous Vendetta albums? Like, are you guys tracking all that by yourself?
No. We usually go track with a buddy of ours in LA.
Okay.
we try to get a completely outside opinion when we're doing stuff that's really close to us.
Okay.
Because we tend to get in ruts, and but we do plan on starting to do our own stuff. Like the next stuff we release is going to be completely self-produced and released, mixed by us.
Have you guys ever worked with a guy in LA called Eric Ron?
No.
Okay. When I lived in LA for a very brief period of time, but I played with a group out there and we did a few songs with him, and he's done some pretty heavyweight acts, and it was a fascinating recording experience to work with him because he's very quick at what he does.
Okay.
He's really good at what he does.
Yeah.
But he's real quick, and that was what like blew my mind. You know, usually I'm.
Can you snap a little bit more? Thank you.
But yeah, it was.
Hey, good. We can all snap on this podcast. That's good.
There you go. I don't know if I'd want to be on it if we all couldn't snap.
Welcome to the
Yeah, right.
Snapcast.
If we ever do like a 10-minute update, we should just call it a Snapcast. There you go.
That's so
Yeah,
lame, but
a good
awesome
idea.
at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, trademark right here. But yeah, I'm just curious.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, but I was just curious if you'd ever worked with him because
Yeah, no.
he's done a bunch of bands in your genre, and
Sure.
he's great at what he does. But I know he's out in LA, so.
Yeah. I mean, we've only worked with one guy in LA. Besides all the songwriters people that we worked with, just the only guy who's ever produced records for Righteous Vendetta is Mitch Marlowe.
Okay.
And that's it.
And he's in LA.
No, he's in Nashville.
He is. Yeah. No, not Nashville. I
Okay.
wish he was in Nashville because I hate going
No,
to LA.
that's a legit question. I actually zoned out for a second.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking about something. Did he literally just say he's in LA?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, we, our friend out in LA, and no, we only work with one guy out in LA. And then you were like, is he in LA? I'm like,
Oh, hey, leave it to me to ask a question like that. Well, it's a legit question
Yeah, it is.
for me because I know you have some contacts in Nashville as well that we tried to meet up with when you were there. So I thought maybe you were talking about one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do
mean,
care
I
what
got
you're
a bunch
saying, and I'm listening.
No, you're fine. I have a bunch of producer friends out in LA or in Nashville who I'd love to do songs with. But the dudes that we know in Nashville are very busy people, and producing is kind of their second gig. They're touring musicians, so it's really hard to make those things happen. Whereas Mitch is just all he does is produce records, so he's always available.
Right on.
yeah.
Well,
Yep.
that is incredible.
Yeah.
I hope to meet him sometime.
Yeah.
No, I'm being serious.
You met
That
him.
came off as sarcasm. It wasn't. I do.
You
I do.
wait.
meet all
Yeah,
your-
you met him last time we were there.
in LA? I wasn't in LA with you.
No, in Nashville. Oh, I thought you're talking about Mitch. Yeah, you've never met Mitch. He doesn't go anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, he never travels. He just stays home. He's like a homebody.
That's me now. I don't leave the house.
Yeah,
That's all of us now.
I had to go to you I had to drive to your house to even like see you.
Yeah. Hey, what up, dude? I don't know, man. I got everything I need.
Hey.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I
That's
just
fair.
felt like that guy on King of the Hill. Yeah, man. Come on, man. You got the
dang
thing.
old Boomhauer.
Well, shucks, man. I mean, I don't have any other questions. I guess I was hoping for a little bit more of a smackdown, but I should have known that I have really good people in my life, and everyone's super sweet. So I should have known there wasn't going to be any neck wringing. But dude, it was absolute honor
smack,
having you on here, man. Thank you so much, and I can't wait
Thanks for
to meet you
having
again.
me. Anytime. I love doing this stuff, man. Any insight that people might have, or younger bands who are looking to do something and want to know what it's like to be signed or what they should do, it's great. I mean, it's good to have this information out there so people are aware. Like, these big record labels are not treating your favorite bands well.
Yeah.
And
the one thing
it's just something people should know.
And the one thing I got an interesting piece of advice, or just not even advice, just kind of like tidbit of knowledge, that you may if you're lucky enough as an artist to get to that point where you're sitting in a room and they give you a contract, they're wanting to sign you. he said never be afraid to walk away from that deal. Your career's not over if you walk away from it, because it's like, always read your contract, and then when you're done reading it, give it to a lawyer, and then when they're done reading it, find another lawyer and have them read it too. Like it's
and then let your mom read it.
Yeah.
And let another lawyer read it.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's just like, you could kill your career by signing that record deal. So
yeah, Most people do.
Yeah, and it's I think in this day and age, it's about hopefully what all of this will do will get us back to the love of creating art.
I know.
So
I hope so. I feel like the music industry is cyclical in that nature. You have eras of art taking over business. No offense, Zack Attack. The 80s was a very manufactured time in music, writing hits. And then we had Nirvana come along, who's just pure art and just, like raw, not even good mixes. Like he didn't care. He was just like, did what he did. And then we had the entire grunge era, and then we start circling back, you get Nickelback, and now we're back into this era now, where we had Kesha and Katy Perry, this completely manufactured sound. Even metal bands now are more manufactured than that.
Yeah.
Like it's all fake drums, it's all auto-tuned vocals, it's all completely manufactured. So I think we're coming into an era again of creation and passion and art. I think we're coming back into that world, at least cyclically. So hopefully we need that new band. We need that next Nirvana. Like, who's that going to be? And I think that's where we're at right now.
I hope it is where we're at, because I think the world really needs it. I think the world needs true art, not this like manufactured businessman in a suit going, this is what you're going to like. And don't get me wrong. I mean, there's been songs, like, I can tell you that Maroon 5 is probably one of the most, like, I love their first album, but then everything after that you can tell is, like, the record label's getting in there. But their song Sugar, man, I could jam that thing all the time. The industry nailed that. So
yeah, right.
The industry nailed.
There's
that one.
always those good songs.
Oh, yeah.
And there's nothing against manufactured songs. Like, those producers and those people that write those songs and perform them, they're amazing artists in themselves.
Yeah.
Just being able to do that, being able to appeal to an audience like that, that's an art in itself.
Right. Ryan Tedder is my prime example of that. The lead singer of One Republic is like, he's a Grammy Award-winning songwriter, producer. I mean, the guy knows how to craft a pop song. And a lot of his stuff is really good. So.
Yes, absolutely.
But,
a ton of it is, man. It's, I love it all, man. But I am ready. I'm ready for like a new Rage, Rage Against the Machine kind of style, kind of stuff,
Did you like? I think I could see we're kind of like at that point of like wrapping up. This will be the last thing from me. So I read this thing. Someone posted, was like, well, I can no longer listen to Rage Against the Machine. They've gotten political. And Tom Morello himself commented on it and goes, what fucking machine did you think we were raging against? Like,
that's ridiculous.
And I'm like, that is hilarious. And it was like recently. It was within the last like 6 or 7 months. It's like,
it was in like the last couple of weeks even.
Yeah, it was just hilarious. Someone just not paying attention.
Some people are just kind of dumb.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Dude, I was just. No, I'm not gonna say it. Never mind. All right.
It's too late. You gotta know.
It's too late. You gotta say.
No, I was just saying. There's a podcast I listen to, and at the end of it, there's like a catchphrase that this particular podcast makes their guests say, and I was trying to think, like, what would our guests say? Like, my name's Ryan Hayes, and I've been detained. Like, what do you? What do you say? Like, my name's Ryan Hayes.
I ain't saying that.
He wasn't.
I've been spanked. Like, what do you do at detention?
I wasn't tardy.
That's it. My name's Ryan Hayes, and I was not tardy. There you go.
I'm not saying that.
I wouldn't either.
Okay, fine. My name's Ryan Hayes, and I'm not
Can't even
party.
get through it. Oh man.
Thank you for putting up with me, dude. I'm goofy. Okay.
Hey.
Look, I know how to be cool on stage. Like I can be cool on stage, but in real life, dude, I'm a dang teddy bear, man. You know that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the
Of
goofy.
course, yes.
It's funny you mentioned the goofy thing because before the podcast started, Ryan and I were talking about D&D. It's like talking about Dungeons and Dragons. It's like
Oh, I don't even know what D&D is. I was like D&D.
yeah. So
Man, you're missing out on a big chunk of life that's amazing.
I've never even played it. I want to play it, but yeah, I can even tell you you're missing out.
I'll play D&D anytime, anywhere, anytime.
That's wonderful. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Ryan, thank you so much for being here. Everybody that tuned in, thank you. We do appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe, smash that bell. And God bless you all. We'll see you next week. Mr. TJ.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Love you all. You're the best. Ryan, thanks for joining. And like us, dislike us, whatever. We don't care. If you dislike us, we're doing something right. But anyways.
Hey.
Over to you, Robin.
A dislike is still, someone felt an emotion deep enough that they needed to go click a button and tell the world, I did not like this. So, but yeah, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on. This was a wonderful conversation, and I'm sure that every time we talk, we'll get more in depth with it and all. But if you haven't, if for those of you listening, if you have not gone and listened to Righteous Vendetta, please go take a listen to them. Ryan over this last week has become one of my absolute favorite vocalists. He's a phenomenal singer, and the music is just perfect. So, but yeah. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I'm Robin.
Of course.
And for those of you wondering, yes, that is a fully automatic Nerf gun in the corner. So, all right.
No one was wondering.
Everybody was wondering.
12 days in. Still.
Actually, I kind of was, but...
Let me have this, Zach. But, all right. Class dismissed.
Are we done?
Now we're done.